Tell me about Mr. Brana's role with you while you're writing the script, and then your role during production on set, if you were, with him.
Well, you know, I really, in this case, I've directed before, but as a writer, my job is to make the director's movie. It's to write the movie that the director wants. So I can be, you know, I can be a loyal member of the opposition sometimes if I think an idea is less good, but really it's about trying to find what he wants to bring to the screen. And this is absolutely, I think, what it is that he wanted, which is to say, sort of a movie that wears its heart on its sleeve, that's not ironic or snarky about things. And so it's a pretty close collaboration at that stage. Ideally, by the time that Ken kind of goes to battle, which is the sort of the everyday grind of actually shooting the film, you should have something that is in good enough shape that you know, you can call me up for lines here and there, but mostly it's taken care of. So I was, although I wasn't on set very much, I popped into London every once in a while, but mostly by then my work was taken care of. And then after shooting in post-production, we looked at it again in terms of thinking of whether there were any lines we wanted to add, were there any things that we wanted to pick up, and it's just little tweaks by that point.
What were the sources that you were looking at specifically? I mean, was it just the Disney animated film, or was it also the Grimm stuff and some other interpretations over the years?
Yeah, you got a bunch of sources to draw on. You've got the 51 version, you got Perrault's version, which was kind of 18th century French version, Grimm's version, which has a lot more bloodshed and brutality, and also hundreds of kind of regional versions of this story, which seems to repeat itself or recapitulate itself in all different cultures and all different times. So you've, at any one moment, you've got an incredible number of sources to think about in terms of what you could kind of bring to the table. The 51 version, again, is sort of set maybe at the end of the 18th century, maybe the beginning of the 19th century, a fancier time, you know, with a monarchy in place. But we didn't want armies of orcs, trolls, dragons, what have you. It's really a story about people. The sort of our time period, which is kind of slippery, actually. You wouldn't say it was any particular year, but it allows us to have this a very lush and beautiful movie, for it to be sort of unabashedly romantic. And yet it's not so distant that we feel we're in a world of mud and swords and blood.
Cinderella, the name, and how there's sort of an origin story to the name in your film. Was that completely your idea? Where did that come from?
I think that's from the Grimm version.
Is it
actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So she's Ella and then becomes Cinderella.
Yeah. They add Cinder to her name, and it's actually a rather beautiful name, but it's really an insult. You know, but she owns it at the end of the movie. Is the idea that she can acknowledge that she has been called these things and call herself that when she's asked to explain who she is, and still be herself. Well, it just sort of comes in the process of going through it. You sort of read as many versions of the story as possible, and it sort of you mull it around in your brain, and as it comes to writing it, it seems like it might be good to have a sort of origin story, very popular in movies these days. Superheroes.
It's true.
You know, it's like an origin story, man. That's why bros should go see it. But it's a nifty bit of various versions of the story, and then to have her own it at the end is a very sort of contemporary version of things.
Well, another contemporary thing that you really did was make Cinderella and Prince Charming equals. I mean, there's no, like, I'm waiting for a man kind of syndrome that maybe has been attached to Cinderella over the years.
Sure.
Could you talk about that specific decision to go in that direction?
Yeah. Well, Ken wanted for Cinderella to be, if not ideally happy, just fine if she didn't end up with the prince. We needed to believe that, and so that means that we need to give her a lot of inner resources. And I think it's since when you do a movie of Cinderella and it's for Disney, you know that millions of little girls are going to see it. So how are you going to influence them in their lives thereafter if they really care about the movie, which is your aim? And that's to say, you don't have to wait around for somebody to rescue you, and you don't have to attach your sense of importance to who you're with, but find somebody who understands you and whom you understand, be with someone who's your equal and who treats you like an equal.
Yeah.
So that involved then all kinds of decisions, from the casting of Richard Madden to the way that The Prince was written, which is to say somebody who is young and idealistic and who also has gone through grief the way that she has. It's interesting because you know, a modern audience hears a Cinderella story, they start wondering why she doesn't fight back or go to Child Protective Services or run away from home. And so finding a way to tell that story to a modern audience is really interesting. And the key is that she's got this tremendous goodness to her.
Last thing I wanted to ask you about is the Star Wars project you're working on. And I know that you probably can't say a word about it, but in broad strokes...
a little device in my neck that will explode.
Exactly. But in very broad strokes, as a writer, how does it feel to be given the keys to this kingdom and have an opportunity to play with this world and create something completely new?
It's so amazing to be allowed into this universe. Let me go back and say, you know, it's Gareth Edwards' movie. He's the director, so I'm making what he wants to arrive at. And also, Gary Whitta did an amazing job up to this point. So I'm certainly not creating from whole cloth. But as somebody who's making movies because of the experience he had when he saw Star Wars at age 7, and then watched it 19 times in its original release, I mean, this is a dream job. And anybody who doesn't tell you that and who's working on Star Wars should be fired immediately.
Right.
Probably.